Welcome back to Daily DeFi. Today's June 16th of 2021, Wednesday. Hope everyone is doing well. Today we'll be looking at the Bitcoin chart, Kava, Origin, the Graft, three altcoins doing pretty well in the 24-hour time frame as the market's moving a bit sideways, along with two articles that are very, very interesting today. So Fox, this big media company, is launching a $100 million creative fund for non-fungible token creation. So very, very interesting. We'll be discussing that further, along with Morgan Stanley, which is set to expand Bitcoin fund options. All right, so as always, we kick things off with juicy NFTs and DeFi pulse to keep our fingers on the pulse of the of the decentralized finance market and the NFT market. Okay, so total value locked in $62.41 billion. Aave dominance is at 14.61%. DeFi pulse index is down about 5% on the daily at 325.81. Just a little bit sideways as the market kind of is just responding to what Bitcoin is doing, to be quite honest. You see Aave, Maker, Curve, Compound, all in the top four spot, all in that lending, except Curve right there, right? So Curve kind of pushed past Compound. At one point, Compound was at that number one spot, but now Aave's really taken that dominance. And I think mainly that's because of this multi-chain, right? So you're using kind of this interoperability. NFT daily volume is 38,000, up about 14%, pretty low compared to what we were seeing last week with pretty consistent $2 million a day. CryptoPunks isn't even up on that leaderboard. Okay, so first article, Decrypt. Now, Morgan Stanley set to expand Bitcoin option funds. Okay, so NYDIG and FS Investments have filed paperwork with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commissions, for a Bitcoin investment fund. Morgan Stanley is ready to refer its clients. In brief, this will touch on the fourth Bitcoin fund linked to Morgan Stanley. The bank first embraced Bitcoin funds in March. Now, Morgan Stanley's wealth management clients may soon have even more options for getting Bitcoin. New York Digital Investment Group, NYDIG, a financial services firm dedicated to Bitcoin, and FS Investments, have filed the paperwork with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, for pooled investment funds aimed at clients of mega U.S. bank Morgan Stanley. Now, such funds allow companies and/or people to get exposure to Bitcoin's price without taking custody of the asset. The funds do that more or less by tracking the price of BTC and adding on a management fee. Though some funds can be traded at a premium or a discount compared to the underlying asset. Now, I've always talked about this whenever we talk about like centralized companies coming in and kind of building things on top of Bitcoin. I would never do it. It's great for those people who are new to the space, who don't want to have to deal with storing your private key, setting up a hardware wallet, setting up like Web3, all these different things if you don't want to interact with decentralized finance. If you just want to hold Bitcoin, sure, whatever. You know, if that's the only option where your bank custodies it, go ahead. But it really defeats the purpose, in my opinion. Now, obviously, this is a step in the right direction. Like the trend is more towards these companies are kind of forced in this position where they have to do things like this, right? Like you see JP Morgan did this, right? Jamie Dimon called Bitcoin like the worst thing ever just a couple of years ago. Now they're custodying it for their clients, right? So it's at the end of the day, like Bitcoin and DeFi, it doesn't care what any of these banks do. It doesn't care whether El Salvador adopts it or not. None of those things matter. It's going to run every day the exact same way it was running 5 years ago, right? Like these external factors that you and I look at, in the market we look at for sentiment, don't matter fundamentally to Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin will perform the exact same way, has the exact same code, the same white paper, all the same fundamentals are there. Now, when people add these things on top of it, or Elon Musk says, okay, we're gonna take it for Tesla vehicles, it's good because you're seeing more adoption, but typically people become wishy-washy. Like he became wishy-washy on the green energy things. And that's kind of my thoughts. I'd be curious what you guys think about this. And along with this article, down below in the comments. So Fox launches a $100 million creative fund for non-fungible token content creation. So Fox has announced a $100 million fund under its NFT blockchain creative labs and is set to launch a range of NFT content, digital goods, and assets. Rupert Murdoch's mass media company, Fox Corp, has launched $100 million creative fund for NFTs. This is absolutely crazy, and he really identified this trend early. So the NFT firm Blockchain Creative Labs, the NFT division, was unveiled last month alongside a new animated comedy series dubbed Crapopolis from Rick and Morty creator Dan Harmon. Interesting. I didn't even know about this. The show is set to premiere in 2022 and will be satirical comedy focused on the life of ancient Greece. Fox says $100 million in fundraising, will be used to support content creators, intellectual property owners, and advertising partners, end-to-end blockchain computer ecosystem solutions to build, launch, and manage and sell non-fungible token content and experiences, the fungible tokens as well as the digital goods and assets. Now, very, very interesting. Again, in the NFT marketplace, something like this, when we're tracking this on Juicy NFTs every single day, you don't have this much adoption now, right? Where these think about it, if like the BBC or the History Channel or these different like massive, like saw the NBA doing this with NBA Top Shot, but you see these massive kind of traditional companies, legacy companies, moving into the NFT marketplace. It's pretty compelling, right? Because they can actually get paid directly for these things. They don't have to go through all these hoops to jump through. It's right on the blockchain, gets deposited into your wallet, and even like journalists. So, for example, like if Cointelegraph was doing this, where each of these articles was an NFT, then Brian Quarmby would get paid directly. Okay, so this is kind of the beautiful thing about non-fungible tokens. That's why there's so many more use cases just beyond digital art, and I think that's what Fox probably has identified. They probably brought in some top consultants in the space. That's also the beautiful thing about knowing these things. Even if right now you can't invest a large amount, like let's say you're not even investing 5 figures there yet, right? Like you're still below $10,000. Well, if you can learn these things, there are people with much larger problems in that are earning a tiny percent on their capital, and you can go to them and solve these problems. So it's kind of like being a consultant for these things, right? And as long as you have this knowledge, as long as you understand the space, there's really no authority. There's no like accreditation or a degree in blockchain, right? Like these people are looking, can you solve the problems? Can you actually work in the blockchain space? Do you know about crypto assets? Do you know about DeFi? Do you know about non-fungible tokens? That's the biggest thing. And that's why I do this series every day, because I hope by watching it, you can kind of build these skills, right? And kind of follow along with the space a bit closer. So moving on to top decentralized finance tokens. Like I said, most things are a bit sideways. Let's see, pretty much everything is kind of sideways and a little bit red. But the tokens that are doing well are Thorchain, up about 5% on the daily. The Graft, right around 6.5%. 1inch, we talked about that yesterday. Origin Protocol, we'll talk about that today. And Kava is the other one that I saw that's doing decent. Yeah, so pretty interesting to look at. Clay Swap as well. The Graft, so GRT, right around 73 cents, 6% on the daily. About 128,000 people like this. Market cap is just below $1 billion at 921 million. Volume is up 21% on the daily at $144 million. This retraced quite significantly, right? Like so back down to these levels where we were seeing in like January. So I mean, the Graft, if you understand what they're doing, I think it's an interesting opportunity to get in because it's really a key infrastructure play for blockchain technology, right? So yes, you can speculate on these different like lower market cap projects, but what I look for is, okay, what is the core infrastructure projects? What are the projects that you need to build the future of decentralized finance? And for me, the Graft is one of these where it's like it's pretty a core, like similar with Chainlink, like it's a core infrastructure play. So moving on to Origin Protocol, OGN. This is on 72,000 watch list, rank 126, right around $1, up about 13% on the daily. Market cap of $326 million. Daily volume right around $100 million. I purchased a little bit of this on this dip. I didn't get the perfect dip, but I did get a little bit right around the 80 cents mark, and now it's up a little bit. I'm kind of anticipating this nice little pushback up when we see this pushback up with most altcoins. Whether it's this month, whether it's a year from now, nobody can really say. I think it will probably happen sooner than later. But I mean, you have a nice little 3x just to get back to those peaks, right? Just to get back to that April 8th peak. Right, even right now at $1. So you got to think about that versus like the Graft, whereas you're purchasing it at 74 cents, and the peak up here was right around $2, right? So you're still under this like 3x mark. Now, lastly, Kava.io. This is one that we talk all about on Daily DeFi. Rank 130 on about 67,000 watch lists. $4.27, up about 7% on the daily. Right around $300 million in a market cap. Volume is actually higher than Origin. That's quite interesting. But Kava, man, this really hasn't retraced that far. I would have liked to seen a further retracement because I wanted to scoop a little bit more up. Yeah, so let me know in the comments what you think about Kava. As always, join the Telegram group, link down below in the description. Follow us on Twitter at InvestGlobal_AO. And I'm going to wrap things up here on the Bitcoin chart. So yesterday I talked about in this technical analysis video of Bitcoin, we kind of crossed these moving averages, right? So once we flipped on these moving averages, that was a nice little long position you could have taken there. And now we've just kind of been consolidating a bit sideways, retesting this 50-day moving average. We haven't broken down back to that 100-day moving average, but I would keep that in mind. We could definitely today see that kind of move down out of this kind of a symmetrical triangle, I guess you could say, or it's kind of just like a sideways moving channel. we could see that retracement down, and then you have confluence at this level, right, like 38,750. So that's what we could see on the bearish scenario, right? So maybe we could see something like this, where we'd move down a bit, maybe retest with this line, so right, this moving average, this light blue line, and then also on this kind of a ray that I have set up. So watch these levels, watch for a bit of a bounce here, and that's where potentially you would go up, and that's where we would hit these price targets. But with all these things in mind, as always with these episodes, highly recommend, if you enjoyed the video, liking it, subscribing to the channel to stay up to date, hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out on this time-sensitive content. Again, that's all for this one. So just to recap, like, subscribe button all. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. If you have any requests for the next Daily DeFi, join the Telegram group, follow us on Twitter. As always, invest global. Until next time.